state's first witness of today. Well, he will be there. He will be there. Hold on. This feels better. Jeffrey, Wendy's boyfriend at the time of the murder. And what you're going to experience is some very, very disturbing things, which is extremely damning for Wendi.
We are going to resume with the state's case once again this morning. Everyone does have their notepads and pens in their seats. All right. And for the record, the jurors have responded in the affirmative. Ms. Kappelman, you may call your next witness.
State calls Jeff Lacasse.
Jeff or Jeffrey. He's going to spell out his name for us. Yeah, if you're seeing this, please, folks, no spoilers. Please, folks, no spoilers. Now, I covered the the Charlie Adelson trial, so I know roughly what he's going to say.
Please raise
But
your right
apparently, he
hand,
has some new information
sir. Do you swear
also.
or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
You may take your seat. You may inquire when you're ready, sir.
Please state your name and spell it for. Yeah.
Sir,
Come on.
please introduce yourself and spell your name.
I'm Jeffrey Lacasse. Pardon me. Jeffrey
How are you employed?
I'm an associate professor at Florida State University.
How long have you been at FSU?
Since 2013, so 11 years now, 12 years now.
Have you always lived here in Tallahassee?
I was here from 2000 to 2008 pursuing my doctorate, and I went to Arizona State for 5 years, and I came back in the fall of 2013 when all this happened.
Okay. And back in that time frame, did you have a relationship with Wendi Adelson?
I did.
When did that relationship begin?
We started dating in late September of 2013.
What was the nature of the relationship?
At first, it was very casual. We weren't exclusive. After Halloween, things started to accelerate. That's the fall of 2013. And then by late February, early March, we were an exclusive couple.
When did the relationship end?
It's a little tricky, but I would market it around July 14th,
Okay,
2014.
Around the time of the homicide or shortly before?
Right before, yes.
During the time that you were dating,
Please make sure to follow on the dates here. Now, they are a bit fuzzy, but there's a reason why he says the relationship ended on the day Dan Markel was murdered or shortly before. We will get through it. We will get to it.
Wendi Adelson, did you become aware of her divorce
I did.
and the litigation surrounding the divorce and subsequent to the divorce? Were you familiar with that as well?
Yes, it was a constant topic of conversation.
Were you aware that it was an unusually difficult or nasty divorce?
I was.
And during the time that you were dating her, were you aware that litigation was still pending during that time frame?
Yes.
Was there a specific item of litigation that was a common topic during the time you were dating Mrs. Adelson?
Well, as far as what she discussed, there were multiple. The relocation motion had just been denied a couple months before we started dating. So that was still very much on Wendy's mind. That came up a lot. Then there were the custody issues with the kids, of course.
Okay. Did you know Dan Markel?
I met him briefly a couple of times.
Was that in the context of you being the new boyfriend and exchange of the kids? Kind
Exactly. Picking up the kids, swimming lessons one time. Never spoke to him for more than 2 or 3 minutes.
The interaction that you did have with him, were those cordial?
It was polite and cordial.
Did you have any issues with him other than things that Wendi was telling you?
I sort of adopted the Adelson family narrative. I kind of believed what Wendi was telling me. And Wendi and I also had mutual friends from when I was here before, and they had sort of adopted that narrative as well. So I didn't have a personal beef with Dan Markel, but I did believe sort of the Adelson family story about Dan Markel.
Which is that he was making it very difficult for Wendi. He was a difficult person.
Yes.
If you know, did Wendi Adelson want to relocate to South Florida?
Yes, she did, very badly.
And why did she want to relocate to South Florida?
She preferred to be down there with her family. She also hated Tallahassee. That's in my original, police statements. It was almost a daily topic of conversation how much she disliked Tallahassee. So it was supposed she really disliked Tallahassee. She preferred to be in Miami. On our second date, she broke into tears talking about relocation and abruptly ended the date. I mean, it was still very visceral, very.
Folks, general advice here. If you're on a second date with a woman and she talks about her divorce and how much she hates living in Tallahassee, and then continues to talk about her soon-to-be or her ex-husband, run! Run! You're not going to fix this. Run!
According to her.
All right, and that was shortly after the relocation had been denied, is that right?
Yeah, that would have been last week of September, so a couple months after it was fresh then, yeah.
Okay, and were you specifically familiar during that time with the litigation seeking to limit Donna Adelson's exposure to the kids or to have her be supervised in the presence of the kids because Dan was alleging that she had made disparaging remarks about him to the children?
Yes, I was aware of that.
How did you become aware of that?
Oh, multiple ways. Wendi talking about it. And it's hard to remember which exact emails and motions I was forwarded, but definitely Wendy's talking about it for sure. And perhaps I was sent court materials.
Okay, were you also shown things in her presence?
Yes.
All right, and if you know, did
Again, if this is happening in the beginning of your relationship, run!
Wendi take that particular filing seriously? Was she upset about that or worried about that?
Yes, every time there was a motion, they took it very seriously. And I reported to the police that it was disruptive on the relationship because every time something was filed, dates would get canceled. Wendy would be in a mood. Wendy would be upset. So
when you say they took it seriously, who are you referencing?
the entire family, but Wendy was the person I was having contact with. Okay. But it was known to me that the whole family was upset.
Okay. And how do you deduce that it's a they and not just a Wendi? Is she in communication with the family? Is she relaying that to you? How do you know that?
For multiple.
Speculation and opinion.
Overruled. He may testify as to his personal knowledge. You're not to repeat, however, what anyone said in court, Mr. Coase.
Sure. So conversations with Wendi, which were consistent, and also observing the family dynamic, which was described to police as a family without boundaries, that sort of not having just a shared family life than your own.
Stayed as to opinion.
All right. So in your observations, let's keep it specific to Donna, if you don't mind. Was Donna Adelson very involved in her daughter's life?
Yes, absolutely.
Was she very involved in her daughter's divorce litigation?
Yes.
And I say divorce, I know the divorce is already final. I'm referencing the subsequent litigation as well.
Yes.
During the time that you were in a relationship.
Now, he got out. This man got out 11 years ago. And he's being brought in again and again. Yes, he's bitter, but he moved on. To my knowledge, he has a family now. He actually found somebody who wasn't a complete whack job. Excuse the expression. But he keeps being dragged into this. But that is how the prosecution chooses to run this show.
As well.
Yes.
During the time that you were in a relationship with Wendi, did you have the occasion to meet her family?
I did.
When was that?
I met Donna, we met multiple times, but Wendi had me come over to her house and had me have dinner with Donna in mid-November. So sat down and had dinner with Donna. There's about 6 or 7 other occasions that we met and or interacted. Me picking up Wendi to go on a date, and the parents would be in the living room. We went to a Hanukkah party together. We went to the circus together. Wendy's parents would use Wendy's van to transport the kids. So I would come pick Wendi up from the house to bring her to work because the parents needed the car. I met Charlie in March when I stayed with him. So that's some of the interactions.
All right. And when you met Donna here in Tallahassee, was Harvey always there as well, or would sometimes?
I don't believe Harvey was
alone?
there. I don't believe Harvey was there at that time, but he was there other times.
So did it appear to you that Donna was frequently in Tallahassee?
Donna was definitely frequently in Tallahassee between September and early May. After that, I'm not aware of her being in Tallahassee. Well, I think she was in Tallahassee quickly once or twice after that, but in terms of extended trips, there's an awful lot of moms here for a while going on between September and late April, early May.
And when Donna was here in town staying with Wendi, what was the purpose of the visits, if you know?
I think multiple purposes. The children was what almost everything revolved around. So spending time with the kids would be the main purpose that I was aware of.
Right. And you said you met Charlie. Where did you meet him?
Wendi and I went to, sorry. Wendi and I went to alternative spring break in Immokalee, Florida for spring break 2014. After we were done with that field trip of sorts, we went to stay with Charlie at his house for one night. So I spent one evening with Charlie Adelson.
All right. And did you interact at all with Donna and or Harvey on that trip?
No, they didn't attend. We didn't go there.
Did you ever spend time with Donna Adelson in South Florida?
No.
All right. So the only times you met her were here in Tallahassee.
That's correct.
What were your interactions with Donna Adelson like?
Just a few that I recall. Sometimes they were really quick because I was just picking Wendi up. When we had dinner, we talked for maybe 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes, but it was pretty quick and just getting to know the girl who I'm interested in, her mom. So it's just that kind of thing. She excused herself from the table after like maybe 10, 12 minutes, something like that. And so
Was that a conversation where it was just the two of you seated at the table?
it was Wendi, myself, and Donna.
Okay.
Just a getting to know you type thing. Just
Okay.
ended fairly quickly.
What about Catherine Magbanua? Did you ever have an occasion to meet her?
I did. She was at the dinner at Yardbird that myself, Wendi Adelson, Katie, and Charlie were at. Yeah,
All right. And that was the night that you spent in South Florida where you met Charlie.
correct.
Was that the only time you ever met Charlie?
Only time I ever met Charlie.
Okay. And do you know the date of that visit?
I believe that's March 11th, 2014.
And how was Catherine Magbanua related to the Adelson family?
She was Charlie's new girlfriend at that dinner, is how I knew her.
Was it your impression or knowledge that this was the first meeting between Wendi Adelson and Catherine Magbanua?
That was my impression. There was a lot of getting to know you talk type stuff.
All right. At the dinner table, did the subject of Dan Markel come up?
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of specifics, but I think it came up kind of briefly. There was a lot of talk about Wendy's book. I remember that part.
And at the dinner table, did Catherine Magbanua's ex come up at all?
Yes.
Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, that stood out because Katie mentioned that she had her children's father was always getting in trouble with the police and had a violent criminal record. I'm paraphrasing, but it sounded like not parking tickets. It sounded pretty bad, and it stuck in my memory for that reason.
What happened after dinner?
We went back to Charlie's house on Well Harbor.
All right. And did Catherine Magbanua go back to Charlie's house as well?
No.
All right. So at that time, it would be just the three of you, Wendi, and Charlie.
And Charlie's then roommate, Dr. Jerome Obid.
Okay. And can you describe the residence there?
Yeah, I thought it was a nice house. Had a hot tub, had a pool.
Okay. Did you get in the hot tub that night?
We did get in the hot tub for a while.
Who all was in the hot tub?
Myself, Charlie, Wendi, and Dr. Obid at some points. And people were in and out, but those were the 4 that were in the hot tub.
And during that time, did Charlie Adelson make some comments against Dan Markel?
Yes, he didn't like Danny. That might be understating it. Yeah.
Is that the most you can remember? Was the gist was that he didn't like him?
I'm not downloading that exact quote at this moment. I remember he was fired up. It wasn't just like I don't like Danny. It was maybe a overprotective brother anger sort of vibe to it.
Okay. And did he make some other comment about wrong side of the tracks or something?
Yeah. He's kind of
Your Honor, your second.
Please approach.
All right, here we go again with a sidebar. What I like about this judge is, first of all, sidebar counter 14. What I like about this judge, there's an objection. All right, approach. None of this 2-minute explanation in front of the jury or anything. He likes to keep his courtroom clean. And it's very, very, I really, really like it. Let's skip forward till they get back. Oh, it's a lengthy. Here you go.
Objection is overruled. You may continue with your line of inquiry, Mr. Councilman.
Sir, do you remember the statement that I was referencing?
Yes, I do. There was a couple of statements in the hot tub.
Okay.
One was about the fact that Charlie knew people on both sides of the tracks, that he hung out with professionals, dentists, doctors, et cetera. But he also knew, was familiar in social contexts that were in the criminal element. And he's kind of bragging, and he kind of specifically mentioned Cuban neighborhoods as a place where you would find that criminal element.
I want to ask you about an incident involving, I think the context is assessing Wendy's oldest child for gifted placement. Do you
Yes.
know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, can you tell the jury, please?
Wendy was looking to get her older son tested to see if he was gifted to get him placed in school. This is spring 2014. And I was trying to put her in touch with some people that could do that. And we were talking about that, and she asked me when children develop autobiographical memory.
Is your training or profession such that you have some knowledge that you could offer on that topic?
Your Honor, he's not disclosed as an expert.
And you'll need to establish a foundation as to why this testimony could be given by this individual, Ms. Councilman.
I'm not offering it for its truth, Judge. It goes to Ms. Adelson's state of mind and motive.
Very well. As to that purpose, I will permit it. However, as to that limited issue only, can this be considered by the jury?
So, I mean, you're not an expert on children's autobiographical memories, are you?
Not really. That's in some of the textbooks I teach out of, but I think I can keep it out of the scientific realm and explain it commonsensically, which is how I responded to Wendi. Children at age 2 have amnesia, which most parents probably realize. Between 3 and 4, kids start to develop the ability to retain memories.
Jeff, this is expert testimony.
As to a specific thing that goes to the state of mind of the individual you were testifying
Yeah,
about,
I must say this
you
is
may
more.
speak as to your knowledge of any literature or research on this matter. I do not need you to testify on that matter.
What is your profession? What is your background?
I'm a professor of social work. I teach mental health courses.
Okay. So Wendi asks you what?
She asked me when kids develop memory. At what age will kids start to remember what happened to them when they were a kid?
And what was your answer?
I think I said 5 or
Yes,
6.
again, this is expert testimony.
Overruled, Mr. Zalman, sit down. You may testify concerning not the truth of the matter asserted, but how this affected the state of mind.
This has not been disclosed to the defense.
Please approach.
I kind of agree with the defense here. Reluctantly, I kind of agree with the defense here. The prosecution is using him as somewhat of an expert witness. Now, with that said, they could proffer him. He does have more experience and training than the common person. But I'm not sure if they can use him both as a fact witness and an expert witness here as they do up in Massachusetts. So I actually agree with the defense here that what he's testifying about now has not been disclosed to the defense. Yeah. As Turnip says, she's being a bit sneaky here. Yeah. And also, this can't be unsaid. This can, I mean, the question and the answer can't be unspoken. The bell is rung. The toothpaste is out of the tube. You can't shovel the shit back into the horse. You can't unfuck a clusterfuck.
Then we'll take you to the jury room.
Yeah. This is also, again, what I really like about this judge. Okay. Not in front of the jury, first sidebar, and then boom. Okay. We need to have this without the jury. If this were in Judge Bev's court, first of all, it would have been allowed. Everything would have been allowed. Second of all, it would have been in front of the jury sometimes, probably. Had it been in Fulton County Court in front of Judge, what's his face? I don't care. Then everything here would have been screamed out from the top of the lungs.
Mr. Lacoste, if you could step down, please. Everyone.
All right, so we have a little mini hearing. Let's skip to when they start to talk.
Think it will take to... Kappelman, how long do you think it will take to find this portion of either the deposition or material provided in discovery?
Maybe another 10 minutes, Judge.
Very well. We'll take recess
Oh,
then
okay. So the
until
prosecution
9:40.
claims this is disclosed through deposition. Well, if it is, then it's the defense's screw up. So ignore my prior comment. If this turns out
Not
to be,
intentional.
let's see what they say here.
The information. Ms. Kappelman, did you find the information that you were seeking to
Yes,
elicit?
sir. I'm sorry I didn't have an answer for you. The case has had so many incarnations, it's hard for me to remember who knows what, but I am conceding the violation, certainly not intentional. I did not find it. Mr. Rashbaum, not intentional. I did not find it. Mr. Rashbaum did not depose this witness, so I'll move on.
Well,
Oh, Georgia. Yeah, you can't open your own door. This is what the prosecution probably claimed, that this is because prior defense attorney Rashbaum, who then got disqualified, he made a deposition where Jeffrey said this. Apparently never happened. Probably was in one of their own depositions, and you can't open your own door in this way. So she apologizes and asks to be moved on.
the defense requesting from the court to conduct a Ricketson hearing.
It's not intentional. I would concede that. There are a lot of materials in here. I would just, if the state's going to move on, I don't think we need to inquire further.
Well,
Should I get the witness, Judge?
1 moment, briefly, so the record is clean on.
Defense, what are you doing? At least ask for the judge to strike that part of the testimony and instruct the jury they have to disregard it. Come on, defense. This is quite easy.
This topic, I will find there has been a discovery violation with regard to the testimony of Jeffrey Lacasse on the subject matter of what was discussed with Wendi Adelson concerning any issues as to the children's memories. I will find this was inadvertent, as there have been, I believe this Kappelman is the 5th or 6th trial in this.
Only the 4th, Judge.
Excuse me, the 4th trial that has occurred under this set of facts, and there has been a multitude of discovery or interviews or depositions of this witness, but specifically as to this defendant being able to pose this witness on this topic that did not take place by prior counsel or current counsel. I will find it is trivial, and it has not had a prejudicial effect on the ability of the defense to prepare, since the state is conceding the matter and no further examination on this topic will take place. The court will give a curative instruction to the jury for them to disregard and not consider as evidence in this matter any testimony that has taken place concerning a conversation between Wendi Adelson and Jeffrey Lacasse as to the children.
I love this, Judge.
You may bring in the witness.
I love this, Judge. I mean, the defense didn't even have to ask. And this is something I miss from other trials I have been covering. Because it's almost always in the judge's own discretion to give these limiting instructions. But most judges don't care enough to do it, or are incompetent, or they are, well, the defense didn't say it, so I'm not going to do it. A judge's discretion in the courtroom is almost limitless, as long as he or she can, if it is in the court rules or in statute. This is what I am allowed to do. Every judge in the United States should be forced to listen to this judge as a part of their continuous training as judges.
In agreement with that procedure.
That's correct.
Your
The
respect.
last objection that was raised by the defense, it is being sustained. You are to disregard any testimony that has taken place by this witness concerning the issues of any statements or any conversation he had with Wendi Adelson about her children's memories. You are not to consider this as a part of the evidence in this case. You may continue with your examination.
Thank you, Judge. Around this same time frame, I guess we're talking about maybe March of 14, somewhere in there, did Wendi Adelson, actually strike that. I'm gonna move on to the coffee shop meeting. Familiar with that?
The June 4th coffee shop?
Yes, sir, June 4th, 2014. Did you have,
Just a side note. Remember yesterday when Wendi, oh, I have no recollection. Oh, I don't remember that. I don't remember saying that. Yada, yada, yada. Wendi and Jeffrey have testified equal times in these trials. He remembers. Well, because he has nothing to lose by remembering. Wendi has, what do you call it? Convenient amnesia.
plans prior to that meeting to travel with Wendi Adelson over the time frame in which Dan Markel was ultimately killed?
Yeah, that's right. And on June 4th, I had planned to see Wendi and the kids at her house that night. Middle of the day, she called me to sort of an impromptu meeting at Red Eye over on Thomasville, and she abruptly canceled our trip for reasons that didn't make much sense.
When was the trip scheduled to happen?
The 11th to the 17th.
All right, so you would have returned home actually the day before the murder
Correct.
occurred. Okay, and did she express concern about not being home in time to pick up the children?
Yeah, the reason she canceled the trip was I'm worried we're going to get
Staying on the stairs and exception. Scott.
Goes to motive, Judge.
Overruled.
Don't care if they go on a trip or not. All right, sir, so
Yeah,
the reason,
but it goes to motive. Yeah, but Wendy's not on trial. So they,
for not going on the trip?
The reason for not going on the trip was tied up on a couple of things. First of all the stuff going on with Danny was a constant refrain. But given the stuff going on with Danny, she was concerned that she might not be back in time, even though our flight was to land the day before. And wasn't so odd to me. It wasn't winter. We're going through it. It's like LA to Atlanta to Tallahassee, leave it in the morning. I didn't see any real reason why that would be a problem.
She would have needed to pick up the kids on July 18th, right?
Yes. She knew that then. Their schedules were planned out for like months.
Okay, so you would have returned on the 17th, and she would have been picking up her children from preschool on the 18th.
Yeah, I think 5 p.m. on the 18th, which is why, I mean, I didn't object. I just said, okay, I didn't make a thing out of it, but it didn't make any sense.
And that, just for clarification, that conversation occurred on June 4th.
It did.
Okay, when was the next time you saw her after that coffee shop meeting?
Yeah, so that was mid-afternoon, and in the evening, I had plans to go see her and spend time with her and the kids. And then she had contacted me that she wasn't feeling well and I should like rush over there essentially. She has a stomach problem. So I got there as quickly as I could.
sure.
All right, so did you go to her residence that evening?
I did.
And what happened when you got there?
On the way there, I remember contacting her and asking her, do you want me to stop and get some stomach medicine or something like that? And didn't. I believe she told me not to. Once I got there, she hemmed and hawed a little bit, and then eventually I left because she was a complete anxious wreck. She didn't have the flu. She didn't have food poisoning. She was just a nervous, anxious wreck, and it was affecting her stomach. So after a little while, I drove to a nearby convenience store to go get her Pepto-Bismol, which I recall because I have a credit card receipt from this random convenience store a few miles from her house.
All right. So she was a nervous wreck that night. And did she tell you what the problem was or not?
No, there's no discernible. I couldn't figure it out. She didn't tell me.
Okay. All right. Was there a time when you were over at Ms. Adelson's residence and you observed that her TV was broken?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that. When did that occur?
That would have been around the week of June 11th to 18th, somewhere in that time period. I went over Wendy's to spend time with her and the kids, and she asked me to take a look at the television. I turned it on. She said there was a problem with the TV. So I turned it on expecting to see like input 1 flashing, or, the kids push the wrong button or whatever. And what I'm looking at when I turn it on is a screen that's been partially shattered, that's been struck by an object. So she had a broken TV.
All right. And did she tell you what happened to the TV? How it got into that?
No, she kind of asked me to look into the TV as if, she didn't know. I looked around. It was impossible to me that the kids would have done it, but I didn't know the better explanation at the time. So I was kind of mystified as to what happened. It looked like a human being stood, between 5 and 6 foot, something like that. It stood in front of it and hit it. That's what it looked like. But she was asking me.
Okay, so it was like an impact mark, like a round impact with spider webs.
Exactly. The image, the pixels are distorted. Most people have probably seen this. So it's, and it wasn't completely shattered. You could sort of see what was going on the television, but it's not a TV anybody would normally watch.
Remember, this is the TV that was recently bought, which means the warranty would still apply. So why are they calling everybody to go look at it? And yeah, now if it hadn't been for Dan's murder, shit happens. But now all of a sudden there's a lot of coincidences here, aren't there? Everything seems to happen close to Dan's murder, almost as if somebody is building an alibi.
Okay. All right, so let's move away from the TV for now. Was there a date that you had with Wendi Adelson on, gosh, have I gone backwards in time here? It was the day before her birthday. What was the date of that?
We were scheduled to have a date day before her birthday is April 21st. We were scheduled to have kind of a special date night that night. Wendi didn't answer her phone, didn't answer texts, and I got so concerned about her. A few hours after the date was supposed to have started, I just drove over there to check on her, knocked on the door for a while. She finally came to the door, appeared to be intoxicated, and not just on alcohol. I mean, weary-eyed. I'm not sure what substances, but it wasn't good. She wanted me to stay, and I was annoyed enough that I actually just left. I didn't stay the night. So. Okay,
so I kind of got our timeline out of her, but some erratic behavior from her on April 21st, and then again on June 4th.
That's right.
Okay. I'm going to approach and show you a text message that was sent on June 28th of 2014. I've marked it as States Exhibit 141. You ever had a chance to review this text message before?
Yeah, you showed this to me last week.
All right, and this message had never been shown to you before last week, right?
Right.
And it's been testified that this was from Wendi Adelson to her brother, Rob Adelson, but it concerns you.
Yes.
Is there anything factually incorrect in what Wendi Adelson is stating in that text message?
Well, when he says, I haven't told mom and dad about me, I met them multiple times. It's impossible that they didn't know we were dating. For example.
Uh-oh. Is Wendi lying? Has Wendi lied to her brother? And then maybe lying in deposition, maybe lying in court. Wendi, has your attorney not advised you that lying under oath might get immunity revoked? I said this yesterday, half of all the evidence that is being brought in this trial is against Wendi. So it seems like Donna, she's on trial. They are proving a conspiracy, but it looks like they are gathering evidence against Wendi and also gathering evidence about Wendi lying. Isn't that interesting? Because an immunity deal is only worth it if you're telling the truth.
I was aware that Donna wasn't thrilled that I wasn't Jewish, so that doesn't add it. This doesn't make sense to me in terms of like seeing me for 6 or 7 months.
So in that text message, she's saying, that you're a secret boyfriend from the parents. Were you a secret boyfriend from the parents at that time?
It's implausible. No, I don't think so.
In fact, you'd met the parents several times.
Yeah, and I had conversations with them, limited conversations, but conversations. And the other part that's I think really significant is the kids talked about me constantly. I have all kinds of text messages and emails where Wendy's mentioning the kids are down in South Florida talking about me.
So at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence case 141.
Objection.
Can I see that, please?
No objection.
Case 141 is admitted.
Yeah, this is good testimony.
Okay, I want to draw your attention next to a disagreement that occurred with Wendi Adelson on June 29th of 2014. Do you recall that incident?
I do.
Okay. And at that time, did you confront Wendi about some suspicions you had that she was seeing other men?
Yeah, that was part of it. That was the main part of the disagreement. I also had spent the last 2 or 3 months concerned that she seemed to be stringing me along.
Where did the fight occur?
The fight occurred in Gainesville.
Okay, and I say fight, it was a verbal disagreement.
Verbal disagreement, and argument's not even the right word. We just exchanged words. Yeah.
Okay, and did that exchange of words lead to an awkward drive together back to Tallahassee?
It did. A very awkward drive back to Tallahassee.
And that was
It's the morning of it's 29th or 30th. It's the 30th, the morning of the 30th.
morning of June 30th.
Yes.
2 weeks
Okay.
before, 2 weeks before Dan's murder, all of a sudden they are having arguments. Now, arguments happen. It's the context and the coincidence of something else that I'm sure we will hear before direct examination is over.
And after you parted ways, once you returned back to Tallahassee on the 30th, what was the status of your relationship over the next couple weeks?
Yeah. Well, we left that. When I left on the 30th, when he was clear that it wasn't over, but it wasn't great that we'd had this exchange either. So over the next couple of weeks, we had phone calls, text messages, video chats with the kids. My take was, seems like it's probably going to be okay, but I didn't know for sure. It did string the relationship out another couple of weeks when it easily could have ended.
When was the next time you saw her in person?
July 13th.
All right, so about, I guess that's the Sunday before the murder, is that right?
That's correct.
And where did you see her?
We went to dinner and a movie. I picked her up at her house at Aqua Ridge. We went to dinner and a movie and then returned there.
Okay, while we're on the topic of Aqua Ridge, I'm going to approach and show you what's been introduced as evidence. So we're on the disagreement, didn't see her for a while, saw her on July 13th. And you were at her residence. What was the plan for that evening?
I didn't know. It was just to spend time together and maybe talk about the relationship some, but we were conversing. We had conversations.
Were the kids there that night?
They were not.
Okay, so it's just the two of you at the residence?
Just the two of us.
All right, and did the subject of relocation come up?
Yes.
In what context?
It came up in the context of whenever Wendi got back from Miami, she was always very upset about the fact that the relocation had previously been denied. I mean, it had been legally denied, but she wasn't over it. It was a constant refrain about how much she hated Tallahassee. So we're talking about the future of our relationship. And I'm asking, are you going to be here? Because with the constant complaining about how hard it was on her parents to transport the kids and just the constant complaining, just thinking, is she even going to be here? Is it worth trying to push forward in the relationship? And she said the only way that I'd ever relocate is if something would have to happen to Danny.
Subject to the same ruling at sidebar, the objection is overruled pending the other matters that do have to be addressed. You may continue, Ms. Kaufman.
Please repeat your answer.
Yeah, the only way she'd ever be able to relocate is if something happened to Danny, was the first statement.
Okay, and did she mention anything further
Oh.
about something
Well,
happening to Danny?
Can I give the context before the next?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was getting a little tired of this whole drama around the relocation. And so I pushed back on Wendi a little bit and said, like, you're going to have to kind of make your peace with this. You're going to have to take some responsibility for this. You're linked to Dan Markel for life. Kind of challenged her a little bit. And she said, well, can I tell you something confidentially? And I said, sure. And she said, last summer.
Same ruling remains. The objection is overruled. You may continue with your answer.
She
Can
said,
I tell you something in confidence?
yeah, can I tell you something? After I challenge her, can I tell you something in confidence? Sure. Well, last.
Folks, regardless of whatever pending thing that's here, you can't unring the bell. Folks, I want Donna convicted, but I want her convicted by the rules. This can't be unsaid. And if they later says, sustained, well, too late. I'm not too happy about this.
Summer, my brother looked into all options possible to take care of the Danny Markel problem, including hiring a hitman, and it would cost about $15,000.
Okay, and when she referred to her brother, she's got two
Wow.
of those, right?
She said Charlie.
Okay. And when she
Okay.
said Charlie looked into
Yeah,
hiring
you
a
can't
hitman,
unfuck this
are you
clusterfuck.
familiar with Charlie's joke? I looked into hiring a hitman, but got you a TV as a divorce president because it was cheaper.
Yeah, Wendi told me that joke a couple of times. This was not that joke.
Okay, so this was something different.
Yeah, the joke was said with levity. It's a dark joke, but this I found chilling. I found disturbing. It made my stomach flip. It kind of took me aback. It was.
For reference, this was not said by him in Charlie's trial. This is completely new for me. If this is something that will stand as testimony, Donna is fucked and Wendi is next.
She was dead serious when she
Okay.
said this. And she'd asked to tell me in confidence, which you don't do before you tell a joke.
Okay. So I want to take you to the next day then. So we're at July 14th, the Monday before the murder.
Yes.
Did you see Wendi Adelson on that date?
Yes, we had contact throughout the day trying to arrange
Why aren't you running for your life,
some kind of
buddy?
date. It kind of ebbed and flowed. But she was real enthusiastic about seeing me at one point. And then like mid-afternoon, let's just meet at yoga is what was decided. So we went to yoga.
Okay. What happened after yoga?
Well, I was wondering why we were at yoga because when he was being very strange, I felt like the relationship was over. She wasn't feeling well. I'm not a big yoga guy, so I didn't understand why we were at yoga for like 80 minutes, stretching. But then when we left yoga, we barely spoke, and I was just getting a vibe that this is over. Tried to talk about the relationship, didn't go very well. It was pretty clear to me. My internal thoughts were like, well, this is over. So she didn't want to spend time with me the rest of the week. So I just put my hands up like this. I remember this vividly and just turned around and walked away.
Where were you when that was happening?
We're in the parking lot of Journey's Yoga over by Winn-Dixie.
Okay, so you have your two respective vehicles there and
Yes.
you're parting ways.
Yes.
Okay, what happens as you walk away?
Get about 10, 15 feet away from her and she calls after me. I turn around and she had a series of detailed questions about what I would be doing on Friday. I had a trip to Tennessee planned and she wanted to know if I was going on that trip. And she wanted to know what route I would be taking. And if I didn't go on the trip, why wouldn't I go on the trip? And I answered the questions as best I could, but I was confused why at that moment she wanted to know the details of what I was doing on Friday when she expressly didn't want to spend time with me on Friday.
Okay, and we now know that Dan Markel was murdered on Friday.
Yes.
If
Here is my speculation. I don't think I'm far off. This is Wendi trying to make sure that this guy has no alibi from when Dan Markel is murdered. This, in my opinion, is Wendi planning to pin it on this guy who she dated. They have had arguments. Maybe she was planning on saying, yeah, he was so jealous of Dan. He wanted to help. We don't know. Because luckily, he wasn't home. He wasn't in Tallahassee that Friday. He had an alibi. Had he done what he told her during all these questions, he would have had no alibi.
If you had taken the trip as planned, which is as you reported to Wendi that day, what would your route have been?
I would have left my house at about 11 a.m., which Wendi knew. I'd related my plan to her earlier in the relationship. Needed to get to Atlanta for dinner and was worried about traffic and stuff like that. So I would have left at 11 and I would have driven down. I would have got to Capitol Circle in Thomasville, which is close enough to Danny's house that it kind of gave me the creeps. It was kind of weird. Yeah.
Okay. So physically, you're saying you might have been sort of consistent with how the killers fled town.
Yeah.
Okay. And after this yoga date and the discussion of your travel plans, did you get an email from Wendi?
I did.
I'm going to publish what's been introduced into evidence of states 64 GG.
Folks, it's going to get worse.
Is this the email she sent you after the yoga date?
Yes.
All right. So is she breaking up with you? Is that clear?
No, she's asking, well, I considered her, based on our interaction, I thought this is over. I had told Wendy if she wanted to break up with me, she doesn't like confrontation, just send me an email or text. She sends me this, which strings everything out for a week. So she's not breaking up. Functionally, that's realistically, I'm not dumb. I'm thinking we're over. She's asking for another week, which brings it to the 21st of July. And I was puzzled. I wondered what in the world's going to happen July 21st, but I just didn't respond because she asked for no contact.
All right. So she wants to have no contact for a week.
Right.
Okay. I was able to find that photo I was looking for earlier, 86A. Check that.
Folks, this is as much a trial against
that's
Wendi
what
as it is
It also
against
evidence
Donna,
on Aqua Ridge and
if not more against Wendi.
Okay. We have an evidence 86A.
Any objection?
Because just in case they can't have enough, if they don't have enough against Donna, they can just turn around and say it's because it was Wendi all along.
No, Your Honor. 86A is admitted at this time.
May I publish?
Which the defense here is perfectly happy
I
with.
blurred the boys' faces, but this is how the residents at Aqua Ridge appeared.
yes.
And the kids' art that's shown on the wall here, was that present during the time that you were dating Wendi Adelson?
Yes.
Was it something that art would come down and other art would go up, or was it pretty fixed?
It was maybe some art would get added, but I never saw any come down until July 14th. 13th, sorry, July 13th.
July 13th, you noticed that the art had been taken down?
We walked into the kitchen and then Wendi was pulling art off the wall. The only time I'd ever seen her do that.
Almost as she was packing to be ready to move down south. Because a few days later, her problem would be no more and she could leave Tallahassee.
Okay. And I want to ask you about, I've nicknamed it the celebration dinner. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell the jury about that, please?
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for hearsay. Understanding court's prior rule.
Objection is overruled.
Wendi and I reestablished phone contact about 10 days after the murder. She called me. And we had 3 or 4 phone calls. In one of them, she related that her and Charlie had gone to what Charlie called a celebration dinner. And at that dinner, Charlie said something to her. She didn't specify what it was, and she spontaneously vomited all over the table.
Are you aware, sir, that you were suggested as a potential suspect in this
Yes.
murder? Where were you when Dan Markel was murdered?
I was in Tennessee because I had left on my trip the night before.
So
Rather
you
than
changed your plan.
I changed my plans at the last minute.
All right, and you provided law enforcement with some receipts and things to prove that you were in Tennessee at the time?
All that, and I got a flat tire, so I ended up getting videotaped at a Kmart. And I know the DPD used that to exclude me with the timestamp on the surveillance footage.
May I have one moment, Your Honor? At some point, did you learn that the killers came to Tallahassee in June, not just in July?
Yes, when the arrests were made and the documents were released, I learned that, yes.
And did you put together some facts about your travel plans that day that could have potentially made you a suspect on that trip as well if the murder had happened as
Yeah,
planned?
that Friday, I was scheduled to go to a business trip in Gainesville, leaving at 11 a.m. So 2 times in 2014, I leave town on a trip by myself in my car, and both times hitmen are in town trying to kill Danny Markel, once successfully, obviously.
Are you familiar?
And it got worse. By sheer coincidence, he is out of town on the first attempt. Had they succeeded, Jeffrey would have had no alibi. So they tried again. Lucky for Jeffrey, he had an alibi. Oh, but wait. There's more.
With the type of vehicle that was originally rented by the killers in June to make that June trip?
I am.
And was that significant to you?
Yeah, I mean, this is long after this all happened. I'm learning this from court proceedings in 2016. But when I heard they rented a gray Altima initially, I had a 2004 Nissan Sentra. That freaked me out because that's about as close as you were going to get to my car on the rental market.
I'm going to show you what I marked as State's Demonstrative Exhibit G. You recognize this exhibit?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, is this the make and model of it's not the actual rental car, but the make and model of the rental car compared to the make and model of your vehicle?
Yeah, my car's right on top. That looks just like the car I had at the time.
Permission to publish, G, Your Honor?
You may.
I have one more minute to confer, please. No further questions, Judge.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Just
Yeah. It really, really sounds like it really, really sounds like he was about to be set up. Let's see if I can find a good picture here to show you guys. No, not that one. Hold on. All right, folks. What I'm going to show you first is what a Toyota Prius looked like around that time. He drove a 2004 Nissan Sentra. Now, do I spot the differences? Yes. Would you spot the difference on bad surveillance camera? Or would they only see light-colored car if somebody pointed the finger at them? I think the investigators would have spotted the difference. That's not the issue here. The issue here is, what the fuck? Why would two gangbangers from Miami going to a hit rent a Toyota Prius? Why? That's a fucking odd car for gangbangers to rent for a hit. They would have been better off with a rental car like a Nissan, any gas car. Why did they have to have that color car? Why? Isn't it? Folks, I'm saying it right out loud here. It seems like Wendi got together with Jeffrey and saw an opportunity to frame him.